Hello, my name is Wildstag, and thank you for tuning in to another book rant. Today, I'm going to be covering this book, The Starless Crown. I picked it up because the cover just popped. It's a really appealing, visually appealing cover. The cover art is by Archangel and Shutterstock.com. The cover design by Tim Green and Face Out Studio. This is a book that's relatively new from 2021. And one of the things, I only recently read this, but the reason I'm ranting about it today, despite having read it recently, is because I wasn't really enthused about this one. And so I'm going to be putting it back into the used book marketplace. Or rather, I'm going to be putting it into the used book marketplace at Coaz Books. Got to get some credit for other books eventually. So this book cost in the ballpark of $20. I don't remember exactly. But it did have a couple interesting aspects to it. The first is that the setting is on a tidally locked planet, so it has the planet itself, and then there is a moon, and the two are tidally locked. And only certain strips of land are suitably habitable for humanity. I do feel like that stretch is too wide, though, and the map in the front of the book makes it look really wide, despite the comments from the characters imply it's rather narrow and really long. The map in the book instead makes it very wide and very short. So it's not long, it's short, and it's wider rather than narrow, which isn't really fitting for the way they describe the setting. But I do like the idea of a tidally locked planet that in its orbit it is always facing the sun, and so only that narrow stretch is really that Goldilocks region. So on top of that, it is a book about several characters, and I didn't like the main character. The back of the cover says, "A gifted student foretells an apocalypse. Her reward is a sentence of death." That's not really an accurate description of how things play out. She has a gift, and she is expected to be brought back to a king. It is her belief that if she lets others know about this prophecy, then she will be killed. And it is implied, but it's not explicitly stated anywhere that she has a death sentence. Just, if you tell the king what you saw, what you know, then you will be killed. So she doesn't actually have that death sentence. So this book is led by the main character, Nyx, and then the other characters are the ones I really appreciated. There's a kind of ensemble cast, and the Drunken Prince, as they describe on the back cover, the Drunken Prince is the more interesting of the two main characters, and then the imprisoned thief is really the most interesting in my mind. He is sent to a prison mine where the only way out is death, and he is able to escape, but only finds the drive to escape because he sees this ancient artifact that the rulers of this kingdom, of the prison, the mine, they want this specimen intact. That thief then is trying to bring her to freedom away from anyone who is going to misuse her. And the kingdom wants her so that she can be used as a weapon. Really, she's more of a repository of knowledge, and it is in that capacity that she serves in the climax. So, the imprisoned thief finds freedom and a new mission in finding ways for this kind of robotic creature to be free. And there's some interesting stories in the escape with that thief, and there's some interesting stories in the independence and drive of this prince to step out from his brother's shadow. As the younger brother, he is expected to kind of be the extra, and twins in this royal lineage don't last long. The older one, the heir, is the only one that matters. The younger brother, or the younger twin, gets killed because there's only room for one heir, and a second brother, a second son, could potentially try to kill the first son. So the first son instead tries to get rid of his brother, and that truth, once discovered, is what drives this second son, Prince, to make something of himself and find a glorious cause. And in this case, he is helping Nyx with her story. And like I said, I like the prince's story, I like the thief's story, but I'm not a fan of Nyx's story, partially because of how it interacts with the world. She has these visions which are only possible because she has a kind of psychic link with this hive mind bat species, this predatory bat species that is kind of like a hive mind. They don't have a queen, but they all have a shared consciousness. And so what one feels, the others feel. It's an apex predator species, but when humanity kills one, that hunter is going to be hunted by the apex predator bats. The bats don't like being killed and will amass in large numbers to slay whoever did the killing. So that's kind of cool. I like how in between certain sections of the story there are bestiary kind of things. So this page has a diagram of scrycrow and how they are used to deliver messages. Usually it's about a creature that was relevant to that segment of the story. So the archival limb of the Scritch. And the Scritch are a kind of arthropod parasite that is prominent in one portion of the book. So the Starless Crown has an interesting setting. The layout of the book itself I like, and I like a couple of the characters. But the main character, Nyx, her story is just something I'm not really enthusiastic about. And the implication of how the story continues is one that I just have no interest in as well, because it implies that they're going to be going to the far side of the planet, the side that gets no sun and thus should be completely uninhabitable. So it should be beyond just bundling up. It should be literally impossible to survive out there. And the story implies that they are going to go there, so I'm less interested in it. It's a large book, 560 some odd pages, and the story was interesting at times, and I liked how some of the characters interacted with others, but the main plot line following Nyx, I just couldn't be less interested in. And I think the author at times is afraid of her experiencing any more loss than she already does, because you only find out really about the shared consciousness and how much it extends across the species when her attachment to one of these bats, a young one still growing up, gets it killed. Later on, another one comes in and it's bigger, but it has a psychic link. Those memories are shared between the bat she used to be connected to and the bat that arrives later in the story. Those memories are shared between them, and she gets that confidence back, and I just don't like it. If a character experiences loss, they should experience that loss. And it's something I don't like and almost feels kind of superhero comic y in a way. If a character is going to die, those consequences should be there. She should have to go through that grief, and through that grief come out stronger. Not, oh, there's a new bat that shares all of the same memories and here's the crutch again. Like, it's just not something I cared for. And that component to the story is really what I disliked about it. That Nyx just constantly gets a crutch to lean on, and she's never truly given a way to grow beyond those crutches. So, the Starless Crown had an interesting premise, an engaging setting, and some of the characters' plot lines were really fun to read, but the main character and her interactions with the world just was a bore. So, I would never read this again. I wouldn't really recommend it to someone unless you're looking for a particular kind of character that I just have no interest in. It's a mostly good book, but the aspects in which it is not good hold it back really hard. So, yeah, that's the Starless Crown. Yeah, my name is Wildstag. Thank you for tuning in to another book rant.